Said I was because I won that race.
And me winning the truck race should put me in.
The following broadcast is a presentation of iRacing Motorsport Simulations live on PTRTV. We'd like to thank all of our partners for their support.
He may get the run on the outside off of the back straightaway. 26 and Hallway trying to go 3 wide. No one will let them.
Talking and bobbing and weaving down the back straightaway looking for a way around. The 5 machine trying to take a look underneath the 3 car. He's going to dive in down to the bottom. A huge move down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Back bumper. Can anything happen through the tri-oval? Walker Thomas to the inside. Here he comes to the outside. Side by side through the tri-oval. The 14. It's going to be a photo finish to the line. Who's going to get it?
Walker Thomas. Machine coming out of turn number 4. Tiller looking to go 3 wide, almost 4 wide. He's going to try to look for a gap. Bobbing and weaving for the lead down through the tri-oval.
Photo finish.
2 by 2. The 65 gets the win.
Welcome, race fans, back to PTRTV on LSRTV. We are at the Phoenix International, actually better known as the ISM Raceway now, formerly known as Phoenix International Raceway, for the second to last race of the Sam Maxwell Customs ASRS Truck Series season. It's going to be 100 laps of action and generically titled as the Phoenix 100 here tonight. Giving you the calls is myself, Corey Silva, and Evan Black, obviously by my side in the booth as he has been for the better part of the season. And Evan, 2 races to go. We just finished a race last week, which was won by Mitch Brown at the Texas Motor Speedway. So now we come here and we have a whole bunch of guys that are right on the bubble, some guys right on the edge looking on in, and 1 race left to decide a championship 4.
Yeah, 3 drivers still trying to get those spots. Actually, 6 drivers going for 3 spots here as Jared Mogart is plus 13 currently, Devin Sayre is plus 3, Jason Stewart is the last driver currently that would make it into the next round with only +1. Brian Yazik is currently 1 point out, Tyler Seville is 3 points out, and Jared Haggerty is 12 points out. So, especially with Jason Stewart and Brian Yazik, only 1 point. That can easily be gained, or it can also grow.
Yeah, for Jared Haggerty being 12 points out, we have what appears to be about 26 some odd drivers here tonight for tonight's race. So 13 points is, 12 points rather, definitely is possible. It's going to take some luck, or lack thereof luck, from some of his competitors, and a really good showing for himself. But as we said, the guys on the outside looking in, Brian Yazik, who is definitely the surprise. He has had a phenomenal season, but a poor run at Lucas Oil Raceway, getting involved in a wreck. It put him in the back and didn't have the best of runs at Texas. He had a fast truck, but just had some bad luck, and it took him out of the position that he probably should have finished in. So definitely going to see if that 55, I expect him to be able to do it, but obviously at a short track like Phoenix, only 1 mile, and we're going to have a lot of close quarters racing, Evan. There could be some wrecks, and could be some opportunities to get caught in somebody else's mistake.
Yeah, it looks like Yazik will be starting in second, and Jason Stewart's going to be back in fifth, so not too many vehicles separating those two drivers. But if it were to end as it's starting, I believe Brian Yazik would be in, so Jason Stewart is going to have to gain some spots, or Yazik will have to lose some. Yeah,
it's going to be very interesting how it plays out in 100 laps, which, in all fairness, should be a pretty short race here, depending how the cautions do play out. Maybe about 45 minutes or so of green flag racing, so these guys aren't going to have a lot of time to make these moves, and they're going to have to be very creative on the tire strategy. When do you pit? When do you stay out? How hard do you drive it? And another dynamic, Evan, that, well, actually, I guess it's kind of a dynamic that's been removed, and, you know, my personal opinion, it's actually in my favor, is you see on the dog leg there at Phoenix all that open real estate, but tonight these drivers will not be able to run it.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to change the racing here, as before with the open dog leg in these trucks, you would most likely go all the way down to that inside wall, and now you can only use about the first lane of that dog leg, so that's going to make passing a little bit harder, but it should also clean the racing up. Yeah, your run off of corner number 2 is going to be that much more important, because you can't just bang that left and go all the way down there to that extra pavement to the inside. You're going to have to get that run and drag race it into 3 and try to get that run, but Phoenix does present opportunities to run side by side. There's a little bit of banking differential, progressive banking, not too much to note, but it definitely does affect the racing, allows that outside groove to come in. So these guys will have a lot of door-to-door racing tonight for us to look forward to, as the ticker is starting to count down, and these guys are very shortly about to line up onto the starting grid here tonight. So we want to thank everyone for tuning in to PTRTV, presented live on LSRTV on a Tuesday evening here in mid-November. Again, getting ready for an exciting race as we wind down the championship with only 2 races left to go. So without further ado, let's bring it to you, the PTRTV on LSRTV starting lineup here from the from the ISM Raceway. Yeah, I added one to the blooper reel once again. On the pole is Andy Veltman with a 26.494 lap. Congrats to him on that lap. Brian Yazik starting on the outside of the front row. And third is going to be, excuse me, as I just clicked through the wrong button there. And third is Jared Haggerty, Tyler Seville in 4th, Jason Stewart in 5th, Jim Foose in 6th, Jeremy Banning in 7th, and Sam Maxwell rolling off from 8th. And rolling off in the 9th position, we have the number 54 of Dylan Hickey. To his outside will be the number 13 of Clarence Bonner in 10th. In 11th position, we have the 28 of Troy Haight. In 12th, the 30 of Brad Cross. Then Jordan Harnish, Nick Hurling, Pete Baskins, and Jay Garris Jr. in 16th.
In the 17th spot is Robbie Baskins. In 18th is David Hudson, Josh Walker in 19th, and Mitch Brown in 20th. Jared Mogard in 21st, Devin Serra in 22nd, and then, well, naturally that number 20, that 23rd spot, he is not going to be in the race. Newbie error on my part, as tonight seems to already be going in that direction. Mark Cohen in 24th, Ty Hester in 25th, Tim Knott in 26th, Richard Fletcher and Steve Buhala round out the 27 trucks that will start tonight. So I called it Texas, I signed up as a driver. What else am I going to do wrong tonight, Evan?
Oh, we got 100 laps to find out.
Well, hopefully I can get myself together and make some sense here in the booth, and hopefully the racing is great tonight, as I do expect it to be. And let's quickly bring up the weather conditions here tonight from ISM Raceway. I don't know why I called it Texas. It's 66 degrees in the air, 66 on the track, but 10-mile-an-hour wind, so obviously under the lights, very cool conditions. Evan, these guys are going to be zooming around this place with tons of grip.
Yeah, it's going to be very grippy, and there's going to be a lot of side-by-side action like you were talking about earlier, especially through 3 and 4. That turn is very wide, and you can fit easily 3 wide, maybe even a little bit of 4 wide action there.
Yeah, I don't think these guys are going to want to do that, but I mean, it definitely is something that is in the realm of possibility. As Andy Veltman on the pole tonight, he has a championship contender Brian Yasek. You can tell all those drivers with their red splitters, red spoilers, and red windshield banners, so those will stick out for us in tonight's race. So again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in to tonight's coverage as we get the second to last race of the Sam Maxwell Custom season underway. Pace car is in. We wait for Veltman to get onto the throttle and get this race underway. And there it is. We're racing in the desert.
And Yazek actually got the jump there on that start, and it's going to lead him down into turn 1 up in that outside lane. Not quite going to be able to clear. Now he clears. Huge restart or start there by that 55.
Yeah, Veltman very tentative, and Yazek wastes no time, and the caution's out immediately. Jay Graves Jr. slow off of corner number 2. We'll try to go back and see what happened to him, as we didn't get up to speed. Already have some carnage going on. Looks like some contact perhaps with, I think that was David Hudson in the 75. Try to go back and get a better look at that. On board with that UPS machine of Hudson. And yeah, he was right on that back bumper of the 8, and perhaps a little bit different braking zones or different braking expectations from each of those drivers. And 75 will send the 8 around, but nice slow spin, no contact that we saw. But immediately off the jump, Brian Yasek able to take the lead and get a very crucial bonus point for leading a lap.
So that should bring Yasek up to +2 now, without counting where they are currently running. So it's going to make it even harder for Jason Stewart unless he can get up there and lead a lap.
And Evan, you were talking about it in pre-race with Jason Stewart. He's not someone who this season, he hasn't, in all respect, he hasn't had a phenomenal season, although he has run a very consistent and very solid schedule. He hasn't put up amazing numbers, so he's gonna really have to turn up the wick if he wants to make it, because you know there's some fast drivers that are on the edge trying to look in.
Yeah, he's been amazingly consistent. You know, he has 2 top 5s this season. Brian Yasek has 13, and Stewart is ahead of Yasek in points, just because of how consistent he's been for the rest of the season.
Brian Yasek has more top 5s, and Stewart actually has top 10s the way it plays out, but I mean, that's not what matters. We go back to 2014, the initial NASCAR playoff system, when they had this new format, and Ryan Newman, who really didn't do much of anything all season, he ended up being 1 lap away from a championship in Homestead. So it doesn't matter what you do in the regular season, it doesn't matter what you do in any round of the playoffs. All it matters is, what do you get to Homestead? Was it enough? And what can you do when you get there?
Yeah, here's Brian Yasek. His 2 finishes in this round is a 4th and a 14th. And Jason Stewart has 2 7ths, so he's just been more consistent. He doesn't have the best finish, or a better finish than Yasek in this round, but just he's had a couple of consistent P7s there.
And thing to note is that will affect the tiebreakers as well, which is very possible. Does go down to wins and best finishes in the round and so on and so forth on those lines. Actually, I have the information right here. Best finish in the round, second best in the round. So if there was a tie just based on Brian Yasek's 4th place finish at Texas, it will go to him. So that's something to watch out for if indeed that is what comes into play. But the lights are out on the pace car, so we didn't really get going last time by, so I mean, we'll effectively call this the initial restart of the race.
Brian Yazek now going to be leading this field to the green here. Andy Veltman in second, Jared Haggerty third, and Tyler Seville in fourth. Jim Foose up there in the top 5. Getting ready to come through the dog leg now. I almost called that turn 3.
You can see the cones down there. That is as low as those drivers are authorized to go. Any lower than that, they will receive a penalty from race control. So that is how wide the track is there. But we come into turn number 3 for the second time tonight. Front row is reversed. Veltman to the outside. Couldn't hold on to the lead on that initial start. So Yazek will be the control truck. And we'll try this again as we complete lap number 5. Taking lap number 6. Pace car is in. And there it is. Yazek on the throttle. We are back racing at ISM Raceway.
Yazek got a good jump there. Now down into turns number 1 and 2. Yazek already got to a pretty huge lead there as Jared Haggerty now moving into second position, and caution once again.
And that is the 58 and the 8 once again. We haven't gone a combined lap of green flag racing yet, so things not getting off to the best of starts here at Phoenix. Let's see what happens.
Looks like that started with Devin Serra and Josh Walker.
Yeah, Devin Serra, remember he is in right now, although not in by much, so he can't afford a bad run. We'll try to get a better look at it. Looks like we will get it from this angle. The 20 maybe, he turned down and just did not really acknowledge or aware of the fact that the 58 was there. 58 maybe ran a little bit higher of a line than the 20 expected, so just kind of a little bit of a situational awareness issue perhaps on both sides there. But again, 2 cautions in, and we have yet to make it past turn 2.
Ryan Yazek still going to be in the lead, but now Jared Haggerty up there in the second position.
Haggerty really needs a good run here tonight. He is very far off of the bubble, 12 points back, so a win is, I mean, it's his easiest shot in, because getting it on points is going to take a lot of situations happening with his fellow drivers.
Yeah, he's going to need quite a few drivers to have issues if he wants to point his way in. So it's going to be easiest for him just to go out there and get this win. But that's easier said than done.
Yeah, Haggerty on the 2018 campaign has 3 top 5s and 9 top 10s this season with a, try to see if we can pull up the stats. Well, I can pull up the stats for you, but I think his best run was a 3rd place finish at Auto Club, and also he matched that at Rockingham. The 4th place running at Pocono, so he has had some good runnings on smaller tracks, so that is a good sign for him. We all know drivers have their different skill sets, tracks that they prefer to come to. Some drivers prefer these shorter tracks, some drivers are more of a speedway type. Then you have the road course ringers, and well, if you're one of the lucky ones, you like going to all the places. I know that is not my, that's definitely not my type. I know, Evan, you really like this place. I cannot stand this place as a driver. I am no good here at all.
This track is just fun to run. So many different things you can do with your line, especially during the daytime in a higher powered car. But there still is a lot of you can do in these trucks at night to just change your line around and try and get a little better speed.
Yeah, it's really difficult because you have to, you want to put, you want to brake a little bit later. You want to get that little bit better of an entry, try to dive in under your competitor. But in our experience, it's very easy to have that back end step out if you do drive in too deep, or maybe you just slide the nose, get in too deep, slide up the track and open that groove up, or even get into somebody who may be above you. So some things you have to watch out for. And again, a lot of side-by-side opportunity here at Phoenix, so really have to just figure out what line is moving, where your truck is working, and what is working best for you. But we are on the back straightaway, which in real life is now the front straightaway with the new configuration that just occurred in real life at this racetrack. But on iRacing, we are entering what is still turn number 3, and well, we'll try to get some racing going this time. Evan, take it underway for us.
Going through turns number 3 and 4 now, waiting for the pace car to drop down onto the pit lane. And there it goes. Now Brian Yazik going to be controlling this field back to the green. And there he goes. We're back underway here at ISM. And once again, Yazik getting a good start over that 6 of Haggerty.
All right, so let's see if these guys have simmered down a little bit and see what kind of racing we can get on as we go into corner number 1. Yazik with the jump, and they are fanning out in the back of the pack, trying to get sorted out. And looks like we will get through corner number 2. We will get down the back straightaway for the first time at speed here tonight. And looks like we will get ourselves some green flag running in, at least for the moment. And we go back a little bit further. Tyler Seville and Veltman. Veltman got the pole, hasn't really got to enjoy the lead very much, potentially going back as Seville trying to get by on the outside.
Looks like Veltman will clear for that 3rd position. Tyler Seville falling back to 4th, but taking a look to the inside of that 97. Not going to be able to dive it into turn 3. And there's a gaggle behind them, Corey.
Yes, it is. Everybody is single file, at least for the top 10, but you go back to the ways of about 15th or so position, and you see Jared Mogard taking a 3 wide into corner number 1. Remember, he started at the back. He's trying to get his way up there. Tight 3 wide situation. There's still 3 wide as we head through the very tight dogleg here at this configuration of Phoenix.
It's very hard to go 3 wide through that dogleg with the closed version of it with those cones up there. They managed to do so, but Corey, I think Jared Haggerty might be a little bit quicker than Brian Yazik. Last couple of laps, he has been faster.
And what do we know about Brian Yazik? He's not a driver who is usually a short run driver. He's usually one to get that run and save the tires and be better later in the run. So kind of almost a surprise to us to see him qualify so well. Usually he qualifies about 5th, 6th, 7th, but outside pole, and he's leading this race early. So we'll see if he is saving his stuff as he sends it off into 1, gets loose, washes up the track. That's going to open the door for Haggerty.
Side by side for the lead down into the dogleg, and Haggerty is going to clear before they even get down into turn 3. So right now with that would put Haggerty into the next round of the playoffs and the final round.
Yeah, I talked about earlier how easy it is to just overdrive the entry of the corners here. It's just so inviting just to drive it in a little bit deeper, but doing so kicks the back end around, slides you up the track, and Brian Yazik able to get that thing back under control, but he's going to have to get that momentum wound back up, get back into his rhythm as Seville is door-to-door to the inside of the track this time with Veltman. That is for the 3rd spot. Side by side, Veltman doing a very good job on that outside line, pinching him down, and then Sam Maxwell lurking behind these guys.
Veltman going to clear Seville now, but Seville is trying to fight back down on that inside lane, and caution once again.
David Hudson
once again involved.
Robbie Baskins. Let's see what happened here for the 3rd caution of the event so far, I believe.
Looks like Hudson just maybe got tied out of 4 and up into the left rear at 46.
Yeah, that definitely was the case. 46 was as high as he can go. 75 just washed up the track and into the left rear, but again, doesn't look like any kind of serious damage on either of those vehicles, just a loss of track position. But 75, second issue he's had here tonight, so not the night he wanted to get off to, but I mean, we are 17, well, on lap number 18. We've only run about 6 laps of green flag. Do you think it's going to be a guaranteed pit stop, or I think we might see a split strategy?
It'll be kind of a split bag up here. We'll see. It's like Haggerty going to lead him down.
It does look like
Mr. Field is coming down.
We'll see if any two
see
tires.
A few guys a little further back staying out. Looks like the 3 of Pete Baskins and Ty Hester staying out for the moment at least.
Yeah, we'll see if this is a track position call. We'll see if it's just to get a lap led. We don't know quite yet. But we'll watch the race off of pit lane and see who does get off of it first. See, right side's going up on the leaders, left side soon to go up. Andy Veltman having the, oh, is that 2 tires on Brian Yazik? Yes, it is.
And he is not the only one.
Yeah.
It looks like Mogard as well as Troy Haight on 2 tires.
Troy Haight was in the playoffs. He no longer is, but is definitely trying to end the season on a positive note. So he's trying to get that track position. We know how vital it is. And other drivers, Jared Mogard, as we said, on 2, Brad Cross took 2, everybody else on 4. And I mean, usually we are very nervous over drivers taking 2 tires, but as we said, we've only run about 5 actual at speed laps, so not too much wear. And typically at Phoenix either way, tires aren't they're not as paramount here as they are at other tracks.
And it looks like Pete Baskins and Ty Hester are going to stay out.
So that will put 4 fresh tires back to the 5th position in the form of Jared Haggerty. And then we have Mogard and Maxwell. Yazik will roll off in the 3rd spot, so that'll be a little bit of an interesting situation to watch, is how is that going to handle, and how long of a green flag run are we going to get? Because at this point, Evan, I almost am comfortable saying that from this point on, if this race was to, I think pretty unexpectedly, but if it was to go green from this point on, I don't think you have to pit at all. So,
yeah, you definitely, if it goes green, you do. I really don't think you would need to pit.
And I mean, I know how my luck is. Every time I try to pull a strategy call, that's always the point in the race where it goes green and I don't have the opportunity to reset. So if you're Baskins and Hester, you're hoping that this thing does not go green, because I don't think they are going to have that same blessing to be able to go to the end. But going to have to figure that out as we watch this race progress. But we are again in the dog leg, and we are going to try once again and get this thing under green flag conditions coming through the end of the dog leg into 3 and 4. Again, Pete Baskins in the 3, Ty Hester in the 36. They did not pit. Brian Yazik, Jared Mogard, and Troy Haight, as well as Brad Cross, all taking 2 tires. Then the remainder of everybody else on 4 fresh ones. We'll see how this does play out as the pace car is in, and we await Baskins to get this race underway. And there he is accelerating. We are back under green flag conditions.
Pretty good restart there for Ty Hester. Not going to be able to stay side by side with the 3, but he will be alongside that 55 of Yazik out of turn 2 now. Yazik right on the back bumper of that number 3 of Pete Baskins. Going to see if he can maybe make a dive here into 3 and 4. Going to stay in line for now. Still under that 36 as he has Haggerty right behind him on those 4 tires.
And you can just see right off the bat, those older tires not seeming to give up very much. Still not able to get past, at least thus far, but Haggerty is now underneath Brian Yazik, and Haggerty tried to take a hard left to try to get underneath Baskins off of 2. That was a little bit optimistic of a move, but Yazik,
3 wide for the lead.
Yazik in the middle, 3 wide through the dog leg. Who's going to lift in 3? Yazik's going to clear through the gap, take the lead door to door, side by side, about 4 rows back behind him.
And that's what Yazik needs to do there. He needed to get by those 2 in front of him that stayed on those older tires before everyone else behind him. So right now, he's going to be able to get a pretty good lead here over everyone else.
And he wants to pull away as fast as he can. Haggerty, remember, he was going for the lead. Now he's dropped back to 6, just getting caught in a line that was not the optimal one at the moment. He's out to the outside of Maxwell and soon to be to the outside of Baskins. Again, as you said, Evan, Yazik is just going to take this opportunity and flourish and try to get as big of a lead as he can, as everyone is starting to settle out behind him. But still this huge gaggle from about 4th back to about 14th.
And with these cooler temperatures and at nighttime, it's going to be pretty hard for this field to get spread out. And with these trucks with the lower horsepower, this is going to stay pretty tight for probably most of this run.
Yeah, the tires are going to wear out, but they're not going to wear out and have the same effect. They may, if anything, get tighter rather than sliding and getting looser as the run progresses. So that'll definitely affect how the drivers are able to maintain and what kind of racing they are able to put on. But up front, Yazik up to about a 0.6 of a second lead, doing exactly what he wants to do. Ty Hester, remember, he stayed out, still on his original set of tires. He's hanging on in 2nd quite well, but Jared Mogard also on those 2 fresh tires, same situation as Yazik. trying to make a move and get around Hester for second, but Haggerty starting to close back in, trying to take some positions away with those 4 fresh ones.
He was a little bit quicker than all the guys in front of him, but it's going to be pretty tough for him to pass here at ISM. As just in front of him, Mogard and Hester are side by side for second down into turns number 1 and 2. Mogard down on that bottom lane, Hester up top. Out of turn 2, Mogard's going to have the advantage. We'll see if he can clear here through the dogleg, and not going to be able to. He's got about a nose ahead down into turns number 3 and 4, and now he's clear.
He is clear, and now the door is going to be open for Haggerty. Or it's not going to be open. Hester able to close the door and shut it, but I thought he was going to actually have a rebuttal and try to pass Mogard to the inside. Not able to do so. Haggerty will take the door and open it wide and go to the inside. Will he clear off of corner number 2? Yes, he will. So move Haggerty on those fresh tires up to 3rd. Hester back to 4th, and Pete Baskins has fallen back to 7th. Remember, he was the other driver who did stay out. And does look like we are starting to settle into place here, and we'll see what these drivers have as the run progresses.
A battle going on for 5th with Tyler Seville underneath the 98 of Sam Maxwell. Through turns number 1 and 2, looks like Maxwell will clear him, using that outer lane, getting a better run through the dogleg. Looks like that battle has ceased for now.
Yeah, Maxwell in 5th, and Evan, I mean, something we've seen progressively through the season is Sam Maxwell has really turned up the wick. He has been running up front, top 5s, leading laps, winning races. He has been really picking up the pace at the latter end of this season.
And Lucas Oil, another kind of short-ish track. I guess Lucas Oil is a short track, but ISM is a short-ish track. So, fairly similar, as in you got to use the brake quite a bit, and throttle control is going to be fairly important. So, not very surprised to see him have good runs at both tracks.
Yeah, we'll see if indeed that does correlate. And as we do see a battle a couple positions further back from this, that is the 44 of Jordan Harnish, lost a spot to Troy Haight, and now Brad Cross. He took 2 tires, was a little bit further back, so didn't quite get the position advantage from it, but he's back to the top 10 now at the last position in the top 10, and then right behind him, Jason Stewart. Remember, he is a driver who is on the bubble, does not have much of a buffer. In fact, he has a 1-point buffer, and while being back in 11th, that's not going to get it done. He's going to have to figure out something, but you can see the front end damage he has on that number 7.
Looks like he got that damage on pit road. Looks like him and the 42 Jim Foose had some contact.
Yeah, we did see Jim Foose running in the top 5 earlier, but now Foose back to 16th position. We'll try to see what damage has conspired onto the 42, and don't see too much, at least from this angle. I think that was...
He had a little bit of damage on the rear end.
Yeah, well, who is the driver behind him? It is the number 45 of Nick Curling. Will go on board and see very minor damage to the rear end of the 42. Nothing to cause any kind of performance or aerodynamic impact, but again, Foose has dropped back. We'll see if he's able to recover from it. We're 35 laps in here to ISM Raceway and the Phoenix 100. Remember, this is the final race before we decide the championship 4, and next week we are racing for a championship in Miami. We already know Mitch Brown is locked in with his win at Texas Motor Speedway last week. Brown he started at the back and he's running in 13th, started in 20th, kind of just cruising his way through. Not sure if it's a speed thing, not sure if he's just letting it ride, but he's has yet to make his voice made in this race, but still plenty of time for him to try to get up there.
Looks like the top 6 or so all spread out, but behind them everyone's just kind of in a line.
Yeah, we'll bring up the lap graph right now, and we'll see who is the fastest of the top 10 or so drivers. And Jared Mogard nearly 2/10 faster that last time by than Brian Yazik. Remember, they are on equal tires. They both took 2 tires on the last stop, which was about 20 laps ago at this point. And Jared Mokart, fastest truck rather on the track, even compared to the drivers who took 4 tires. So that strategy, I mean, I'm not sure if it's circumstantial, maybe if it actually helped the handling out, but obviously is working out for these front two.
And neither of these drivers are in a must-win situation. Mogard plus 13 coming into this race, and Yazek was -1, but as they are right now, I'd say both of them would advance. Even if Mogard does win this race and Yazek finishes second, I would say he will also advance.
Yeah, the only thing that would throw a complete curveball into this is if a driver on the outside of the bubble was able to win the race. Obviously Yazek, we kind of expect him to be in, but of course anything can happen. But if Seville or Haggerty was able to win this race, that would drastically throw off the landscape of the final 4, because some driver who may be locked in or may be in on points, he'd be bumped out just because of that driver on the outside looking in and winning the race. We've seen it many a time in the real world where it does throw things off, but at this point, 40 laps in, half-second lead, doesn't look like we're going to have any imminent surprises right now. Still,
actually, at this point, if my math is correct, which it probably isn't, the final 4 would be Mitch Brown, Jared Mogard, Jason Stewart, and Brian Yazek, and Devin Serra back in 14th. I do not believe he would advance with where he is running right now.
Yeah, Serra is 3 points to the good, and with Haggerty running what is...
Stewart is 2 points behind Serra and 3 spots ahead of him.
Yep, and then obviously with Haggerty currently running 12 positions better, 11 positions better, he has the bonus points, so Haggerty has gained those 12 points. So yeah, that would be a very, very close situation for Devin Serra, who's, and he's running back there. He's trying to pass Veltman. Remember, Veltman was the pole sitter, but this really hasn't had the actual race run to match that effort. But here comes Serra looking around the outside, close quarters racing off of 4. They're dooring each other down the front straightaway.
And maybe a little bit more contact down into turns number 1 and 2, and Devin Serra, he cannot risk any more damage to that truck. I believe he did have some damage in that lap 1 or one of those early incidents, because he needs to try and get as many spots as he can and try and catch up to that 7 and the 6 of Haggerty.
And just being the nature of ISM in Phoenix, it's just, this isn't a track where you can gain positions quickly. I mean, 1.5 miles, the tires wear out, you can pick off spots one at a time, you can gain a lot of time on pit strategy calls. No matter how good you are, and as we've seen with tire strategy, no matter how good you are, it's just, this just is not a track that track position is gained easily. So Serra's gonna have a difficult time without the help of a caution getting up there.
Mogard has cut out to the back bumper of Brian Yazek, about a half truck length separating those two.
It's Richard Fletcher behind the leaders. He has gone 1 lap down in the 47.
Look how high Mogard and Yazek both are running up there in 3 and 4.
Yeah, remember the iRacing dynamic track? We've talked about it all season. It always comes into play, especially at shorter tracks where there's a lot of drivers running repeated laps on one groove. It's going to heat it up. It's going to rubber it in, and guys are going to start searching for grip. So 3 and 4 seems to be where the drivers are starting to deviate from the inside lane. 1 and 2 still right around the bottom, but definitely is seeming to be that the 00 is faster. He's running that higher line through 3 and 4, trying to get that better run down the front straightaway to see if he can make any kind of attempt to pass Yazek, but nothing yet.
This is where it can be so hard to pass, so hard just to get next to him. And even once you do get next to him, you can really, if you're in the outside lane, you can really just pinch the guy on the bottom down and make it pretty much impossible to pass on that inside line.
Yeah, Evan and I just ran a Monster Energy Cup race here at this very racetrack, although in the daytime conditions, and that was the situation. If anything, it was easier to make passes on the high side of the racetrack just due to that reason, where the inside driver gets pinched down, but Mokart almost bumping the 55 off of 2. He's taking a peek to the outside, not able to do so. Yazek able to block that run, but look at the 00. He's trying to peek to that high groove.
Now outside lane in 3 and 4 is where the speed is at for that 0-0 of Mogard, and Brian Yazek, should he maybe just go up there and try and block that lane?
I mean, at this point, Yazek, he doesn't want to take a chance. He wants to win the race, but look at Mogard. Almost contact. He cannot afford to get wrecked right now. He can't afford any mistakes. In all fairness, I almost feel like it may be better for him just to let Mogard go at this point. Nearly some contact there in the center of the corner. Mogard has to back off.
Yeah, Yazek cannot afford to get wrecked here. Even if he finishes second, he should still advance to the next round.
I do believe Yazek does have a spotter with him, and that's information that I'm sure they are talking about, is who is where and what you need to do. I mean, nobody ever wants to give up a win, but as aggressive as that 0-0 is driving, as much as he wants that lead right now, it may be a wise choice to back off and just give it to him. You're in where you are. Remember Jimmy Johnson at the Charlotte Roval? He was locked in. He went for it. He lost control and then ended up losing his chase endeavors by getting knocked out by driving a little bit too hard. So something Yazek's going to have to watch out for as he does start to pull away. And speaking of pulling away, Evan, these guys have pulled away 5 seconds over the rest of the field.
Yeah, and once you go back to those 5 seconds, it's still pretty close.
44 around. Jordan Harnish, caution is out. Devin Serra around. Serra is around. Made contact with Andy Veltman.
It's going to be very bad, especially with that damage being on the front end. If his engine is hurt at all, that could pretty much kill his playoff hopes.
This could be chase implications. This could be what takes the 20 out of championship contention. We'll see what happened. It did start with the 44. That was Jordan Harnish. Looks like there was contact made. We'll try to get a better view of it because didn't quite have the angle we needed. He was racing with the 3 of Pete Baskins. Baskins, maybe one person was pinching, one person drifted up, but either way the 44 went around, and then the 20, we'll try to see how he got involved there with, it was Andy Veltman he had contact with. And he checked up. It looks like he got himself loose, just trying to slow down there and trying to decide where to run, and well, Veltman just didn't know where he was going to go, so definitely going to really put the 20 in a difficult situation. But as we just passed the halfway point in this race, they will be coming down for a set of pit stops. Could be the final time.
Yeah, they for sure will be able to go green from here, or they will be good on fuel from here on out. I don't think we'll see any 2-tire stops this time, as they did run 34 laps, it looks like.
Yeah, maybe if this was the final restart within single digits, you may see that, but still, as we said, this could very well be the last stop. All depends how the yellow flags do play up. But Jared Mogard got a really good pit stop there, and he will take the lead. Brian Yazek back to third. That may not be the worst thing, though. Sometimes if you're not the leader, it's better to be that first driver on the inside lane behind the leader. You can really time that start. So may not be the worst thing for Yazek to be third, but either way, losing 2 spots on pit road. You can see here on our telemetry on the back end, he had about a 15.7 compared to about 14-second flat stops for the other 2 drivers. So that pit crew costing Yazek some spots. Again, as we are just slightly past the halfway point, give you a quick rundown, do a little bit of a through the field here as we are on lap number 55. Jared Mogard is leading this race. This is the first lap he has officially led. Jared Haggerty, remember, he needs a very good run to get himself locked into Homestead. He is in second. Brian Yazek 1 point out going in, but he's having a great run. He's in third. Tyler Seville in the 4th spot right now. Seville 3 points behind coming into this race. Ty Hester in 5th, Sam Maxwell in 6th, Troy Haight in 7th, Brad Cross in 8th. Jason Stewart entered this race 1 point to the good. He's back in 9th. That's probably not going to cut it. He's going to need to make some progress. Jeremy Banning in 10th.
Devin Serra, after his instant under that last caution back in 11th, he was only 3 points to the good coming into this race, so he's going to have some ground to make up. David Hudson in 12th, Andy Veltman in 13th, Jim Foose in 14th, Nick Curling in 15th, Mark Cohn 16th, Jordan Harnish in 17th, Tim Knott in 18th, Robbie Baskins 19th, and Josh Walker in 20th.
All right, we are getting ready for a restart, but the final drivers, Dylan Hickey, Mitch Brown, Richard Fletcher, Pete Baskins, and Steve Buhala, the remaining drivers in the field right now. Mitch Brown all the way back in the 23rd position, but remember, he's already locked in. He has nothing to worry about, but we'll see what happens with these drivers up front who do have something to worry about. Coming through 3 and 4 right now. Haggerty needs the win. He's going to be on the outside. Jared Bogard in pretty good position. Yazik is in good position where he is right now. We'll see who can get the better start and who can get this race underway. Bogard very early in the zone there, as early as humanly possible, goes in and gets this race back underway.
Contact with Haggerty and Yazik there entering turn 1. Looks like Haggerty tried to cut down in front of Yazik and he was not quite clear yet. Both drivers can keep it straight, but there's a little damage on the right front of Yazik and the left rear of Haggerty.
Yeah, very tight quarters racing as we head into corner number 3 right now. Door to door with Seville and Yazik. Got to be really close. It's tight quarters racing off corner number 4. Yazik will clear in the 3rd spot. As you said, having a little bit of damage, but so far not showing to be any that he has to be worried about.
Haggerty being those 12 points out with coming into this race with only about 43 laps to go. He's got to try and be aggressive and make some moves here and try and get up to that lead, because he doesn't absolutely need to win this race, but he's going to need the guys behind him to have some issues. And
Devin Serra, after that issue he had, he's back in 10th right now. So while he does have a good amount of damage to that number 20 truck right now, it doesn't seem to be affecting his performance, something that you can get away with a little bit on these shorter tracks. I mean, he may have a little bit of speed disadvantage on the straightaways, but I think that 20 is handling good enough to where it's keeping him in the picture.
Yeah, right now I do believe that he would still advance to this next round, as Yazik did get by Haggerty, but now Haggerty is fighting back on that inside lane. But Yazik is going to clear using the outside through the dog leg, so now Yazik is going to have quite a ways to go to catch up to Mogard, about just over a second in between those two right now.
Yeah, outside groove obviously starting to work in, and these guys starting to use it very early in the run. Remember, we talked about the inside starting to rubber in, starting to get a little bit too hot and slick, so these guys moving around, at least in 3 and 4 anyway, still committed to the bottom in 1 and 2, but we'll see if indeed that 55 has anything for Mogard. Last time by, Mogard was about half a tenth faster, so that's not what Yazik needs, but we know Yazik has a long-run driver. We'll see what he has, but a playoff driver we haven't really been talking about, Evan, is Tyler Seville. He is in 4th. He's going for 3rd right now. Remember, he's only 3 points behind right now, so I mean, it's going to be right on the bubble for him, depending how it plays out.
It's going to be very close for him indeed. Trying to look to see exactly where everyone else near him is running. It looks like he still would be a couple points out, because with where Brian Yazik is running, he would need Yazik to drop back probably 4 or 5 spots, but if Yazik does drop back, then Seville would probably be in.
Yeah, at the current moment, Serra and Stewart would drop out on points, but Yazik would get in, and potentially Haggerty. It's going to be really close. I mean, I'm assuming we will have updated points at the end of this race. We're just as curious as you guys are at home as to who is going to get in. And we know a lot of
Seville would get in before Haggerty.
Yes, he would, because Haggerty is, remember, he is 12 points out, so it's going to be, I mean, this is exactly why NASCAR and League Such has followed this playoff format. Well, some may critique it as being manipulated drama, but whether it's manipulated or not, it is definitely very exciting. And I mean, I haven't really been a part of it from the driver's perspective very often, but it must be very stressful trying to figure out what you have to do and trying to execute it while in the driver's seat.
We're going to wreck out a 4 on the front stretch. Caution is out.
Oh, that's a big one. Upside
David
down.
Hudson.
David Hudson with
Devin Sarah involved again.
David Hudson with the triple barrel roll. See what happened from the chopper cam. See, that's the 75 into the left rear. Sarah was able to hold it. What happened to the 75 and 4? He just stopped. See,
I don't know what happened there.
Sarah washed up the track. I mean, Sarah did an amazing job to save that. They were going to carry on just fine, but the 75, he just stopped in corner number 4. He was maybe going to the pits like he wanted to try to park it. I mean, that's all that I can make out of that. And you can see, I mean, Sarah, he did get through that minus, I mean, after that initial spin. But, I mean, it just looks like, from my perspective, Evan, from my personal analysis, he just decided he wanted to go to the pits there, but realized he wasn't going to make it. And at that point, he was sideways and slow right in the racing line.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like to me, but we have a few drivers choosing to come down pit road here. Looks like 7 staying out.
And Maxwell will lead the charge down from the 8th spot on back. So we have Jared Mogard, we have Brian Yazik, Jared Haggerty, Tyler Sville, Brad Cross, Ty Hester, and Josh Walker remaining on the speedway. So while this race is actually almost over already, a quick race, we're going to take a single quick side-by-side break. So get yourself ready. It's going to be a very exciting finish.
The yellow flag is out. Pit road is now open. Keep your eye on those gauges. We'll give you 4 tyres. 3, 2, 1, now. We're done. Get going.
Red Bull GRCs are now available on iRacing. I personally put my blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, developing the cars, the tracks, the dirt, making sure it is authentic as possible, and I really think you guys are going to love it. The best part is,
back racing here at ISM Raceway for the Phoenix 100 as we have about 30 laps to go until we finish this race and we establish who the final 4 drivers will be in the championship picture, as this race has been going pretty quickly, but a lot of drama amongst playoff drivers. Devin Sarah involved in another incident there, not to his own doing, but back in 20th now, and he's only going to have 30 laps to get himself in position. And who up front is going to be able to get themselves in, because we have a lot of playoff drivers up front, a lot of bubble drivers. Pace car is in. Mogard will be the control truck. He's going to go a lot later in the box, and here he goes. Green flag racing once again.
Yeah, I was like, it's going to clear the 6 of Haggerty, go down into turns number 1 and 2. And remember, the top 7 stayed out. Everyone else did come down pit road and get tires. That'll be interesting to see how they can march up through this field, as they only have about 12 laps on their tires, so we will have to watch out for that, as Yazik is kind of closing in on Mogard here.
Yeah, Mogard has seemed to be the faster driver in the race, but we know that 55 is not a slouch, as they're 3 wide into turn 1 right behind them. Ty Hester, Brad Cross, Tyler Seville.
Hester backing out of it, entering turn 1. Tyler Seville was way too high there through turns number 1 and 2 and lost the spot to the 30 of Brad Cross. But Yazik taking a look underneath Mogard up front for the lead. Not going to be close enough to get underneath him, but he took a look there, entering 3.
And look at the gaggle behind him, Evan. Jim Foose is involved, but the 9th, 10th position. They're almost 3 wide as they are really racing aggressively for these positions. Jason Stewart in the 7. He's running in the 8th spot now. Remember, he is technically in at the moment by 1 point. He's kind of been the sleeper all playoffs, but can he pull it off with less than 30 laps to go and get himself into the final 4? We'll have to wait and see. Troy Haight and Sam Maxwell racing side by side, but as you said up front, the 55 is not budging off the back bumper of Mogard.
I think Mogard might be a little bit quicker here, maybe especially after they get a few laps underway, but last time by, Yazik was a few hundredths of a second quicker. So that'll be interesting to see if he can get by him here.
And you know how it is when you have a driver that close to your rear view, well, that close to your rear bumper rather, you kind of get mirror driving, makes you make a little bit more mistakes. So you have to stay focused, not worry about what's going on in your rear view mirror, but definitely it's a very hard thing to train yourself to do, especially when someone as fast as Brian Yazik is just hunting you down. But Jared Mogard, not someone who we've seen make many self-inflicted mistakes, so if he can run 25 clean laps, he will have no worry on the point situation. He'll get himself into Homestead, but look at Yazik with a really good run off of 4.
Right to the back bumper of that double zero machine, entering turn 1. And look at the huge run he's going to get here out of turn 2. Going to gain quite a bit of time there down the dogleg. Thought it was going to be a bit bigger, but I think he did have to get out of the throttle a little bit there. Now entering 3 and 4. And behind them, Jason Stewart is starting to make his way up through the field a little bit. He's at the 7th and trying to get by Maxwell, so Yazik is going to have to be a little bit more careful here because he cannot lose any more spots, or if he does, Stewart may end up getting close enough to point his way by Yazik.
Now, Evan, I don't know, obviously you are on the younger side, but I don't know if you were around for NASCAR in 2014.
Yes, it was.
So, I mean, you may remember as well as I do, Ryan Newman, he was 1 point behind Jeff Gordon to advance into the Final 4, and he had Kyle Larson right in front of him, and on that last lap, I mean, it was not clean by any stretch of the imagination, but he needed to get that spot, and he sent it in there, and he forced himself to get that point. Do you see that may be happening here on the Sim World tonight?
It definitely could happen. It's at the same track for that, and entering turn 3, you can easily dive underneath someone if you do need that 1 point. Just dive in, give him a little bit of a door check, and get by him. Yeah,
we saw Larson go flying into the fence, and that took the playoffs away from Jeff Gordon, put Newman in the championship 4. It was controversial, but I mean, it got him there. That's all that matters. And I tell you, Yazik up front, he has found something this run, maybe just stalking Mogard enough, or maybe getting Mogard to make some mistakes, slip up the track. Mogard maybe going a little bit higher than he may have wanted to through 3 and 4. Yazik hasn't been able to take a peek, but just as I say that, here he goes in turn 1.
Mogard driving in maybe a little bit too deep there, washing up the track on corner exit, but he's still going to keep a pretty good run there through 1 and 2. Yazik took a look there, but once again, not going to be close enough to take a look here through 3 and 4. Still about a half a track length between those top 2. As they're coming to 21 laps to go now.
And while this lead battle is still going on, we want to follow just a little bit further back. As you said, Jason Stewart trying to get into 7th. He was in 7th position. He's now dropping back to 8th. Potentially, Troy Haight looking to his outside. Sam Maxwell just in front of these guys, so I'm not quite sure at the moment where Stewart would fit in the point situation, but we can let you know as well, Devin Serra, who's just had a lot of luck tonight that was not of his own doing, a lot of bad luck, I should say, but he is managing to make the most of it. He's in 13th right now, trying to take 12th away. He is battling with Josh Walker in the 58, and that beaten and battered number 20, but you have to take every spot you can. You never know how it's going to play out till the checker flies.
Yeah, I still think Sarah does need to get a few more spots here if he does want to advance to the next round. That'll be interesting to watch as he is diving it in there, getting into the side of the 58, shoving him up the track to get that extra spot.
I mean, as we talked about, there's a lot of shaking and baking going on a little bit further ahead. I saw Tyler Seville, I saw Jared Haggerty weaving around on the front straightaway. Here comes Seville to the inside of Haggerty. Brad Cross lurking right behind. Remember, Seville is on the outside looking in, Haggerty on the outside looking in. Both of them having good runs, trying to get every last point they need, every last point they can get.
And Seville tried to make that move through 3 and 4, but I think that is going to lose in a spot to Brad Cross in the 30 on his outside entering turn number 1. Looks like Cross is going to stay next to him out of turn 2, and everyone in the top 5 is still on those older tires. Sam Maxwell is the first one on those fresh tires. He's got 16 laps on him. Everyone else has 29. Here, and a little bit of contact there between the 11 and the 30. 30 slides out the track almost into the wall. So that's Tyler Seville doing what he needs to do to try and get every single point he can.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, Evan, at this point, I mean, how long can you have patience for as the 30 and the 7 going door to door as Stewart trying to get into the 6th spot? Remember, he needs all these points as well, but it almost gets to a point with the drivers. You have Maxwell, you have Cross, these guys who aren't in, and they know what's on the line for these guys in front of them. How do they race these championship drivers knowing what's going on right now?
I mean, it really depends on the driver, because some drivers will just kind of let them go, race them easy, or some drivers will just race them like they normally would, like they were fighting for the playoffs themselves.
And you know that there are a lot of team affiliations in this series, so there could be some teammates going on and trying to have them get out of the way or block somebody a little bit harder to help their teammate out. So that very well could be going on, and just focusing up front once again just to give you a quick glimpse of what's going on. And not much has changed. Still about a truck length gap is the difference with Yazik and Mogard, and haven't seen Yazik take any attempts, any real attempts. He's taken a couple looks, but Evan, I think at this point he's going to have to try to get to the inside, or he might have to use the bumper, because I don't think that inside lane has enough grip to make a pass at this point.
But does he want to risk making a move using the bumper?
Again, I'm going to go back to the Charlotte Roval in the Cup Series and in the real world where Johnson was in this very position. He was in on points in second, but the racer came out in him. He wanted the win. He went for the win, and we all know what happened. He ended up spinning out and taking himself out of the playoffs, so it's kind of a fine line. You have to play if you're Yazik. You know that you're in, but at the same time, that's a win right in front of you, and you want that.
And right now, we're not 100% sure that Yazik will be in. We're pretty sure that he would be in. But the only thing that's going to 100% guarantee it is if he does go and get that win.
Yeah, he's 1 point out right now, and other than Mogard, who's already ahead of him, he is the highest running driver. So, I mean, without being 100% certain, I'll go about 97% certain and say that Yazik should be in. Remember, he already has the bonus point for leading a lap. I'm not sure if he has the most laps led. I don't think he does, but here he goes to the inside in 3. He'll go door to door with Mogard, who does have that preferred groove up top, and the move will be unmerited, and he will fall back in line at second.
It's going to be very hard for Yazik to pass this 0-0 without having a little bit of contact, which I don't know if Yazik is going to risk that. It's to get really tight there out of turn 2. Almost into the fence there, and he lost all the time to Mogard.
Yes, he did, and behind them, it's still these guys. They've just been pulling away so much from the rest of the field. It's absolutely insane to put it into perspective, but just all again with all the racing going on, third on back, it's allowed the leaders to pull away by over 4.5 seconds at this point. Still Haggerty leading that train in third, Seville in fourth, and then the fresh tires of Maxwell and Stewart have gotten to 4th and 5th, and well, 5th and 6th rather. And again, especially with Stewart, we know how much he needs those points, as Brad Cross all the way to his back bumper nearly got into the back of him.
Stewart now to 6th, and he needs even more spots. He probably needs to get ahead of Brian Yazek, which is going to be pretty much impossible without a caution here.
And we are closing in on what we call the ASRS lap, which is usually about 7 to go. Remember, they don't have one-lap shootouts, but just quickly going up to Devin Serra. He's kind of stuck right now. Given any serious events, he's going to finish 12th. He's about 1 3/4 seconds behind Tim Knott, who's his nearest competition for 11. So he is pretty much going to be stuck in that position, and he does have Mark Cohn behind him. Cohn is a very respected and patient driver, so he will probably race him with the utmost respect, and I don't foresee any issues with that, but it's going to be harder for Serra to gain any more spots. But up front, it does look like Mogard is starting to inch away. When I say inch away, I mean it quite literally. He's gone from about 1.5 tenths up to about 2.5 tenths up.
He was about a 10th quicker last time by, Mogard was. But it looks like Yazek is going to gain some time here through 1 and 2. So it'll be interesting to see if Yazek can get back up to him as they're getting ready to come to 6 laps to go.
Yep, and this would be almost definitively the ASRS cutoff lap. Remember, we don't have one-lap shootout, so if a caution comes out from this point on, the race will most likely end under that yellow flag, so we can write out any restarts happening from this point on. But it does look like that 0-0 at the end of this run is starting to turn up the wick and pull away just by a little bit, which is not kind of what we're used to. We're used to that 55 being better on the long runs, but Mogard has something at Phoenix. But you know, Yazek's not going to go down without a fight, running that higher groove, matching Mogard's line in 3 and 4, trying to get the same run off of the exit of the corner, and did do a pretty decent job. But can he match it in 1 and 2?
5 laps to go, and Mogard once again was a few hundredths of a second quicker than Brian Yazek, so it's going to be pretty tough for Yazek to close that time in. He's going to need Mogard to make a mistake.
And behind this,
I don't know if that's going to happen.
Behind this, Sam Maxwell is closing in on Jared Haggerty for the 3rd spot. That will be a point that Haggerty will lose if Maxwell's able to get by, as Richard Fletcher, a lap down machine to the outside. Seville has lost that valuable point to the 11, and Jason Stewart, he's in 6th. He's trying to get by Seville, who they're now 3 wide with Brad Cross. Stewart needs every point he can get. He might be able to get 5th, and that could be a vital point to save his playoff and his playoff future. So we'll see how aggressive he does go for that spot. Here comes Maxwell to the inside of Haggerty.
Haggerty throwing a bit of a block there down the front stretch. Cut off the nose of that 98 of Maxwell, now entering turn number 1 and 2 with 3 laps to go. Maxwell right on the back bumper, that number 6 for the 3rd position.
Yes, it is, and this is getting intense. And up front, it is, I don't even think he's in quote-unquote send-it range as Yazek, but he's definitely is where he needs to be. He actually got a very good run off corner number 4. That puts him within striking range, but this Mogard's been getting through 1 and 2 so much better than Yazek. Yazek's definitely getting through 3 and 4 better, but he definitely got off of 2 much better than he has been. Can he match that run and get it as we do come to the white flag lap this time by?
Out of turn 4, these top 2 get by the 97 of Veltman, and Yazek is closing the gap. Only a truck length between the 2 now as they go down into turns number 1 and 2. Yazek needs to get through here really well, and it looks like he might be able to do it.
This is going to be a potentially excellent finish. Both of these drivers are in pretty good position for Homesteads, but they want the win. Will Yazek rough him up? Will Yazek make a power move? He's going to look to the inside. He's going to wash up the track. Is it going to be a drag race off of 4? Mogard a little bit high. It's going to be a little bit of a drag race, but not enough. Mogard gets it by about a half a truck length.
Brian Yazek going to come home in 2nd and in the battle for 3rd. It looks like Jared Haggerty is going to get that. Actually, no, Sam Maxwell ended up getting that 3rd place there.
Yeah, at the line, it is going to be Sam Maxwell in 3rd, Tyler Seville in 4th, and Jared Haggerty in 5th. Go quickly back and show you that finish from a different angle. Yazek erased him clean. That's how Yazek likes to run. He's not someone who wants to win by using let's say unjust means, but we'll go from the chopper cam and show you that last lap. He got to the inside, he really throttled up. Mogard got a little bit too high, and as they exited the corner, just didn't have the momentum on the inside lane. But he definitely gave it a shot, and you can see off of 4, Haggerty hit the fence. Stewart got into the back of him as they came to the stripe, but we do want to go over the final results here at ISM Raceway, and then we'll get you the post-race show, and hopefully we will be able to give you the playoff standings and tell you who is going to make it to Homestead next week. Winning the race, Jared Mogard leading 47 laps, and 45 laps led for Brian Yazik, who finished in second. Sam Maxwell in third, Tyler Seville in fourth, Jared Haggerty in fifth, Jason Stewart with a sixth, Troy Haight in seventh, Jim Foose in eighth, Jordan Harnish and Tim Knott rounding out your top 10.
Devin Sayre going to come home in 11th, Dylan Hickey in 12th, Mark Cohn in 13th, Pete Baskins in 14th, Josh Walker 15th, and rest of the top 20, Brad Cross, Richard Fletcher, Mitch Brown, Robbie Baskins, and Andy Veltman in 20th.
And then rounding out your field tonight, Ty Hester in 21st, Jeremy Banning in 22nd, Nick Curling in 23rd, David Hudson in 24th, Steve Buhala in 25th, Clarence Bonner in 26th, Jay Graves Jr. in 27th, and man, I got to get that truck working better. Corey Silva rounds out the field in 28th. So we are going to step away with the post-race show, get these guys in the booth, and hopefully tell you who is going to be the final 4 heading into next week's race at Homestead. So you don't want to miss it. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Horsepower Volkswagen Beetle is free to all members. So get signed up now and come race me online.
So hey, this is the new iRacing scanner, right?
Yep, this is our new scanner.
Wow. And this scans all your tracks and will scan everything else around it as well?
Yeah, you can even scan yourself with it.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, don't tell Tony that I asked, but how do you turn it on?
You just hit this button, scan right here.
Cool. And then that's just going to move around?
Yep. It'll just do a rotation, scan away.
Oh, wow, that's cool. That's cool. That's real cool.
Hey, Kevin, can you come to the office for a minute?
Yeah,
to show you something.
There.
And we're back here at ISM Raceway in Phoenix. After the Phoenix 100 was a very thrilling race here. In the final race, we do have the results. We do have the final 4 drivers that will be running for a championship next week. And they are Jared Mogard with the win here tonight. Mitch Brown with the win last week at Texas Motor Speedway. Brian Yazik with his second place finish. He will be locked in, and drum roll please, the final driver going for a championship next week is Jason Stewart by 1 point. He gets himself in, beating Seville in the 11. So that is who we are going to be watching next week go for the championship, but we do have the drivers who will well, just to talk about their race efforts here tonight. So we do have the 3rd place finisher of Sam Maxwell.
Well, Sam, a few weeks ago you got the win at Lucas Oil, and here at ISM you get a third place finish. What are your thoughts after this race?
Well, it started out rough. We couldn't even get one lap in, but after that it got really good. We had some good long green runs, and you know, taking care of the tires paid off. And that last pit stop, when I took 4 tires, that really paid off against the guys who stayed out. I ended up crawling my way to 3rd, and best I was going to get was a 5th the other way.
Yeah, it looked like it was pretty hard to pass out there, especially after 10 or 15 laps. Just that outside lane would always prevail and the bottom could do nothing. Is that kind of what it was out there for you?
Yeah, that's why I was always looking to try and pick the guy on the bottom, you know, try and get outside of him in turn 3 and 4 and see if I could stay there, you know, and try and hold him off on the runoff. But man, you're right, it was on the bottom, it was impossible. Just couldn't get the runoff. Yeah,
and we saw quite a few green flag laps here, especially like 20, 30, 40 lap runs. And how was the car in those runs? Like, was it getting tighter, or what was the handling like?
Yeah, for me it was tightening up. I couldn't get it to rotate after about 15 laps the way I wanted. It would start to push off. And I was trying to clip the corners to apex late, try and take care of the tires, but man, I don't know. I couldn't get it to go more than 30 laps before it started falling off. That's why I came in and took tires at the end.
All right, well, is there anyone you would like to thank here? A shout out to you after your 3rd place finish?
Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out to my wife, family, and friends, and thank you guys. Thank the league for everything that they've done for my business, and give a shout out to my business, Sam Maxwell Customs. If you're looking for a custom steering wheel, come see me.
All right, thanks for talking with us, and good luck next week at Homestead.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good night.
And Corey has cut out the 2nd place finisher, Brian Yazik.
All right, Brian, you did just about everything you needed to do. You didn't quite get the W. You were right there for it, but you did point yourself in with that great run you had here at Phoenix. But you led a lot of laps. We know how hard it was to pass. You really held up with Mogart at the end there. Was there anything that you could have done differently other than maybe roughing him up to get that W?
I mean, I could have, you know, you could have hit him in the middle of the corner, and there's a way that you could kind of move him without wrecking him. But that, you know, as the race kind of unfolded, you know, I was kind of realizing that we didn't need to win to get through, because we only came in 1 point back from Stewart and 3 back from Devin. So I kind of saw the race that they were having, and you know, it was just really just kind of staying ahead of them. So I knew the plan going in was to try and get, you know, lap led, most laps led, and the halfway. We got 2 out of 3, so that wasn't too bad though.
Yeah, well, in the booth, man, we were really referencing the Charlotte Roval race in the real world where Jimmy Johnson, he had himself pointed in, but then he was going for the win and he just tried too hard, ended up taking himself out. Was there any kind of a balance in your mind of, I see that win right in front of me, but I don't want to do anything stupid to lose it? Were you kind of having to balance yourself out, or were you kind of content if you did end up just finishing 2nd as you did?
I mean, you know, the funny part, it's funny you mentioned that. My spotter tonight, Scott Eckrich, he was hanging out and wanted to see how we were doing it. We got to, I think we came off that final restart, and he could see that I was getting right up on Jared's bumper, and he came on the radio and said, "Now, don't Jimmy Johnson this thing. Just, you know, because the guys that were around you in points are behind you. Like, just be smart. If you can get them, and stay up on his bumper and intimidate him." But, you know, and that was kind of what the goal was. You know, if I had a couple swings where, you know, if we wanted to push a little harder, we might be able to get it. And then coming off of 2 on the white flag lap, I got a hell of a run, and I thought, well, you know, let's at least try. And I knew I didn't drive it in like super aggressive and try to wash both of us up the track. I drove it in, you know, a little bit more aggressive than usual, but you know, just tried to see if maybe I could get him to, you know, if he wasn't expecting that move, or, you know, something like that, to make him just kind of like make a mistake and put this HPP simulation Toyota Tundra machine up there and get up and try and get a win. But hey, I'll take second. I'm not too upset with that right now.
All right, so you got one more focus. You got Homestead next week. What kind of track is Homestead for you? Is it one that you're comfortable at? And if not, how much practice are you going to be putting in for that next week?
We're gonna get some practice in, you know, for the next week, just to kind of get myself refamiliarized with it. Last time I ran Homestead in a truck in a league, we won, so that wasn't too bad. And Homestead, we finished second in the Cup car, and Moger finished third. So we know we got some good competition, but you know, we're really going to try everything we can to bring up a championship for HPP Simulation. You know, clipping that Apex, Love Pedal Motorsports, AMSOIL by Adam Littell. You know, everybody that, you know, kind of helps make this program go along. And you know, we got it this far. We got all the missions, all the check boxes checked, and now it's just a matter of going and getting that big championship there at the end in Miami.
All right, I heard you do a couple shout-outs. Any more that you want to have before you wrap up tonight's interview, Ryan?
Just the usual, you know, you guys and Jim and ASRS and everybody that, you know, everybody that makes the show go around and gets everything going. You know, it's really exciting, kind of what they got going on and all that. And real exciting, obviously, you get down to the championship side of things. So just thank everybody, you know, Sam for putting his product on the line and his company on the title of things. So it's just awesome. A lot of people help moving parts around and stuff like that. So it's a good show. We're gonna go try and get him next week at Homestead.
All right, Brian, we'll let you go. Congrats again on the finish, and we'll be watching next week. Good luck.
All right, thank you. Have a great one, guys.
And now Evan Black has caught up with tonight's winner, Jared Mogard.
Well, Jared, you get your 5th win of the season here at ISM Raceway, and coming into this race, you didn't need to win. You were about 13 points to the good, and what was it like racing out there and trying to manage that gap?
Well, to start the race, I figured it was going to be a long race. It would be bad, like, but 3 yellows in the first 10 laps. But, yeah, you know, we knew we didn't do anything too crazy. Just go out there and do what we did all year long, and we did good. And we did what we did all year long. Kind of started in the back and found ourselves toward the front at the end.
Yeah, the 3 races in this round, you have your worst finish is 2nd, so you have had really good runs this entire round, and next week you get to go to Homestead and race for a championship. How do you feel about going there? Do you think it's going to be a good race for you, or are you going to need to put a little bit more practice in, you think?
Yeah, this round was good. I mean, like I said, we first finished the 2nd in 3 races, and, you know, all 3 of them we were battling for the win there on the final lap. So it was a really good round. Definitely the momentum you want going into the championship race next week. Practice, no, I mean, you know, we'll have a little bit before the race starts, and I think we'll be good. It helps with the official stuff going there too next week, so you have about a day to do a couple of races or whatever, get an idea of it. But looking forward to it. I like the track. As long as we have 2 lanes for racing, which I think we will, it should be a good race. We won it last year, so we got that going for us too. So hopefully the momentum continues, and we can battle it out next week with the other 3 guys.
Yeah, I got one more question here for you. Those last 30 laps, you were racing there with Yazik, which did you know much about Yazik's point position on if he was going to need to win that race or not, or if he was just going to be able to ride and finish 2nd and still advance?
Yes and no. I mean, I knew the points were close right about that area. I feel I needed to finish like a position or 2 in front of the other guys, so I knew he was in a position to where if he finished 2nd, looking at the top 5, he was probably going to make it. So I knew what his position was. I knew he didn't need to win, but obviously he was trying to make it easier. But you know, we were equal. The only reason, to be completely honest, that I won was that pit stop where we got out in front. That truthfully, I think, is the reason I was able to beat him. Yeah, we were faster before we pitted, but on 4 tires we were so equal that it came down to whoever got out first.
Alright, well, is there anyone you would like to thank or shout out to you after your win here at ISM?
Yeah, first of all, I gotta say congrats to the other 3 guys that made it. Stuart was a little nervous going into it today. He was messaging me earlier, and I gave him a couple pointers to try and help him out, and it looks like I made it my point. So congrats to the other 3. I just gotta thank iBuyPower Computers, TVS Internet, Nick Coffin, who wasn't here today, the race official. He had some stuff come up. Shout out to him. Shout out to Coffin Racing Graphics, and Twitch Race Reports for being on the car, and all the fans for tuning in. Hope you're ready for next week. It's going to be a gooder, and you guys for your final regular season broadcast with us.
All right, thanks for talking with us, and good luck next week at Homestead.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
All right, so that is the post-race show. We have talked to the top 3 drivers. Again, to summarize, it is Jared Mogard, it is Brian Yazik, it is Jason Stewart, and it is Mitch Brown going for the championship next week at Homestead, Miami. Congrats to them, and we'll be definitely excited to watch that race. It is going to be an intense race for a Sam Maxwell Customs specialty wheel designed by Sam Maxwell himself, who finished in third. He does some amazing work, so it'll be a great prize. And again, you can check it out and support the league, sammaxwellcustoms.com, and check out his work there. But again, let us wrap up coverage with some quick sponsor shout outs here from the PTRTV side of things. Our longtime sponsor, Air Movement and Fabrications, our commentator Brandon Kreutz, his company Kreutz Custom Graphics, and our overlays are provided by iBog iRacing Broadcast Overlay Graphics. It was an exciting race here at Phoenix, and we wind down the season next week for one more event, and it's going to be quite the one to see, so you're going to want to stay tuned and catch it live next week on Tuesday night. But stay tuned to PTRTV on LSRTV on Monday, as well as the Integrity Racing League will be headed to this very track for their season as it winds down, as they have 2 more races themselves, and they themselves have a championship 4 at Miami winding down too. So we're going to have to watch that too, and you're not going to want to miss that as well. So stay tuned for all of the action. Signing out of the booth tonight is Corey Silva and Evan Black. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.
Have a good night, and we'll see you on Monday.